Hello everybody and welcome to Neverwinter. My name is Alistair and today we're going to be looking at the Warden Ranger from Mod 33. Now I've kind of got two builds for it. I've got one that I use on first boss and I've got one that I use on second and third boss, and this is the second and third boss build. And the only real difference between the two is the boots that I'm using. These boots here, I will change them for the daily boots that come from mod, I believe 32, the ones you get from the campaign that give you 60% more when you use your daily power. So starting from the top, keeping the MSOD helmet, we've got the alternatives to that would also be the M-Lond, A-Lond, or some of the new pieces as well, which give accuracy. We've got the cuirass for the 75% more damage on encounter powers once you use the daily. This one here, I don't actually end up using the accuracy bonus when I'm counting towards my build, but my stats will get up to cap with this bonus, but up to 87 sort of percent without that bonus of accuracy. I'm just using it for the combat advantage, really. The other option is these ones here for the crit strike. Something I want to say is the cleric arbiter. This set would be much better if that was a 25% maximum divinity, so that the cleric arbiter could actually use these, because right now the cleric is super limited. I have been messing with my cleric recently, having a bit of fun with that, and so I've been stuck on really old gear compared to obviously Moondancer arm pieces to be exact. So that was mod 29, so like four mods ago. Still got these weapons here. They're not celestial yet because I can't get any MSH runs. You can pause it here and see the bonuses I'm using. These are still best, even at legendary, they're still best in slot for DPS. And these boots here, now these boots they proc fairly often, 9% more damage, but they do reduce your maximum hit points by 20%. The other ones that I was talking about are these ones here. The other build is basically everything's the same apart from these boots here. And then these stat boots are legitimately very good and still worth using in a build if you don't have the Celestials. Going on over here, Armor Aegon, Demon Skull, Seal and Parchment, and Night Flame Sensor. These three down the bottom are just for stats. This one here is for obviously my main artifact. However, I will switch to demo if I need to, but because I'm melee, I tend to be left on the Night Flame Sensor as it is. Going up from the bottom here, I've got the Celestial Shirt and Pants. The set bonus gives me 6% crit severity. I'm giving myself crit strike, and I'm giving myself crit strike and power. Up here, Shroomwood's still arguably the best set. A lot of people try and run a broken set that gives strength bonus, so like the Night Piercer along with the Ritualistic Necklace. I've seen people run the Ritualistic set because it gives a 2.5% damage bonus during an artifact call. However, that's not that good. The strength bonus is way better. That gives you recharge speed, 15% recharge speed. It gives you 7.5% accuracy, and it also gives you a total of 9% strength bonus. And that is one of those stats in the game that isn't actually scaled down, and that gives you just a flat damage boost. And lastly, the rings. I am running the Frost Silver Coil of Wrath, and that's going to give me combat advantage, accuracy, and then accuracy as the stacks build up to 6 stacks. And here I've got the Frost Silver Ring of Initiative for the combat advantage. Don't really count in for the power, but the power does come into to play into proc when I'm in AoE fights, and this gives me also crit strike, crit severity, and the rings you see there. These are my stats out of combat with pots, as you see here. My accuracy is way overcapped. That's because I have these and I don't want to change off them. I've got a ton of accuracy coming from here, but accuracy is something I'm struggling to get down, if I'm honest. Defensive, I'm actually just running all of the enhancements that will proc these rings as they require certain enchantments to reach that cap. And here I've got the Amylite, and 1 Amethyst for stats. Now I'm running Rage of Flames for first boss along with Sword Curse Tactician, arguably still the best overload, giving you 2% damage and 10% stats, as opposed to just the 10% stats you get from the Devil's Precision. Going on to second and third boss, I will switch to, let me see here. I will switch to, sorry, had a message just pop up. I don't have one at the moment, do I? Oh, there we go, Giant Slayer. And that can be 5% more damage on the second boss. I'm running the Swift Synergy. The Swift Synergy is purely just because I need the combat advantage and the crit severity over needing the crit strike and accuracy, as Rangers have, our forte is accuracy. But this will give you 1,000 more item level, but it will reduce your combined ratings by 1,000, which means I've got 1,000 less stats, but as you see, that doesn't really matter. And then movement speed is what I always tend to go for. However, there are other ways you could build. You could build action points, you could build recharge speed, but I think movement speed is probably the most important one. Moving along, powers I'll do last. Not much has changed with the powers, to be honest. Boons, just kind of whatever you need. First boss, I do end up just running Revive Sickness because I end up going down quite a few times being melee. And then campaign boons, just whatever you need. I've actually need to retrain some of these. Put like a load more into lingering medicine and maybe change some of these up because some of them don't really do as much as they should do. I'd ideally obviously have a few of these changed over, so I will probably change those over at some point soon, but these are just sort of what you need for your build. There's not any specific best in slot other than obviously DPS, want the DPS stats and movement speed, and anything that will give you flat damage increase at the top, like Bloodlust for example, like Life Lessons, so on and so forth. Here I've got Dritzel at the moment, but I will run any active companion that is needed. And as you see here, I'm running, I've got these, only got these because they're giving me item level more than anything. And I don't need to find the ratings somewhere else. But that is a good reason why I'm overcapped on accuracy. But I want these rings giving you an insane amount of accuracy. Like here, 11,700 ratings is crazy amounts. Enhancement, the endurance senses, I will swap to like armor break or dull senses or something like that if the group requests it, because actually with my spider tome I can be slightly overcapped on combat advantage, and with a portobello in my group then I will with a portobello in my group I can make up the a bit of the combat advantage difference from the portobello. Meaning that I can run a debuff if needed. Here I've got flat damage companions, I've got the raptor here, and I've got Celestial Golden Lion on. Now, this on the first boss is not great. On the second and third boss, it's actually not too bad. I'm finding that they tend to stay alive for most of the time. Now the argument is I could run the 6% crit, 9% crit severity down here, and then run to the wind here. I tried that. It gives me a lot less damage personally from what I've found. I know a few other people might be a little bit different. I know of some rangers who actually run to the wind with the 9%. And they actually run Storm's Conduit rather than Blade Hurricane. Again, I'm finding that Storm's Conduit, personally, finding in my runs it's doing more damage with Storm's Blade Hurricane than Storm's Conduit. Moving back over to mounts. Infernal Pounce, this is one of the hardest hitting in mount powers in the game, and definitely worth getting as either magic or physical damage dealing, even though it is a physically based attack. Now I've got Ferocity on because I do have the Golden Lion, which is giving me damage, radiant damage, and Ferocity is going to give me damage when I hit. The argument to be had is obviously Providence. Here it is. But I'm finding personally that I'm getting more damage out of Ferocity than Providence. Guardian Spirit ×2 for the extra hit points. Cavalry says Tacticians and Artificers, and a mixture of, believe it or not, some Fortitudes in here just to make up some space. Brutalities, skills, as we go down the list, a few dominance here and there. Just to get my stats balanced. Now, the rotation is very much the same. I am using, like every other ranger, rapid strike, electric shot, hindering strike, split the sky, thorn ward, forest ghost, call the storm, seeker's vengeance, depending if I can get behind them, blade storm, and then here, focused, storm's recovery, blade hurricane, skirmisher's gambit, and nature's envoy for the 15% added on to forest ghost. So the single target rotation is as follows, very simple. Just quickly run through it for anyone who's not seen any of the any other videos before. I use my 2 ranged encounters, and then at will, 1, 2, 3, and I just at will for a bit, and I go 1, 2, 3. As you see, everything's coming on cooldown. I switch, and I can pop off 2 of these. 1, 2, switch stance. 1, 2, 3, and it's just as easy as that. Now, with the focus build, which is what this is, using focus, the longer I stay in this stance, the more damage I do. However, we want to make sure that we're getting those big magnitudes from our split sky and thorn ward. Here's what my stats look like while I'm in combat. As you see here, that's going to go up by 5%, and that's going to go up by 5% for my swift synergy. And obviously, we're thinking we've got a tutor, flapjack, portobello, a dritz, as you see here next to me, and probably a spine devil or a scorpion, if preferably scorpion personally, for last and first boss. Obviously, to give me the combat advantage easier. I'm not a warlock or a rogue, so it makes life a lot easier that way. Right, I'm going to drop my artifact rotation. Artifact 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I go my second daily. 1, 2, 3. So that's the end of the artifact call, and it's doing a good bit of damage. Now, the burst damage from my other build, which is this one here, that one is doing slightly more on the artifact call. But it's not a great deal more damage overall, because the sustained damage is higher on this, because this is proccing more often than your daily powers. The only things I changed for that other build is I switched this over to the Rune Forest, which is the advanced arm pieces, and that is just so I can get my daily back more often. I'm making sure I have that double daily for the artifact call, and then I switch over the Greaves, so the Crimson March, over to these boots here that give me 60%. Now, if anyone didn't notice, or anyone didn't know, Ranger gets 4 procs of this currently when they use their Forest Ghost. So this can proc up to 8 times, giving you 8 encounter powers with 75 plus 60 increased base damage boost. So very, very potent combination. Very, very potent combination. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you have any other any questions, please ask in the comments. This was a pretty quick video, but thank you and goodbye for now.